Last time I said, or I gave as a challenge, making our switch into a switch in Blender. So I wanted to show how I've done it. So I just made a cylinder that is sort of the cylinder base, and then I made another cylinder that is the switch, and I created a cube to use as a Boolean modifier on the base. So if we look at our base here, it's got a Boolean modifier that is set to uh, subtract this cube. So if I hide that, we can see it goes away. And then I made another version of this where I just copied this over, and then I took this and I just hit shade smooth, and I took this and hit shade smooth. You can see what that does. And I made some materials. I made this sort of bluish and this sort of brownish to make it look like wood. And this is what I came up with. So it's not super complicated, but it looks like a switch, and we can import that into Godot. So if I jump into our 3D game, here I've got our switch, and what I did was I took the switch and I made it its own scene. So here it is. And then I made the collision shape surround this. And then if we also take this handle, if we rotate it -90 around the z-axis, then it'll go down there, so we can animate that. So in our switch script, we want to do a few things. So right now, if we just run our game, come up here, we can just click on this, but it opens and closes the door, but we want the switch to be shown as thrown. So let's add a few things here. So we'll say var toggled bool equals false. By default, it'll start as open. Then we'll say var toggled angle float equals, or untoggled angle, then var toggled angle float equals -pi/2. Okay, so when this happens, we want to say func interact switch toggled emit. We want to say toggled equals not toggled. Then we want to say we'll do func process void. Then we'll say if toggled, then we want to go, we need a reference to our handle up here. So we'll say handle dot rotation dot z lerp angle. So handle dot rotation, z, and then 2 toggled angle. Then we need some sort of speed, so we'll go var toggle speed. And this is a value from 0 to 1, so we'll say 0.3. Let's try that. Speed. Say else. We can do the same thing, except that we want to go to untoggled. Okay. So we come up here. That looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that. So you can recreate this code or change it around if you want, change the switch around if you don't like that. But I'm pretty happy with that for this demo. Okay, now what we want is to create this sort of character uh, um, for our player UI. So we want to create a GUI character, and it'll have the name and the player image, and then a left and right hand, and then below that the health, just like in Eye of the Beholder. And we want to detect clicks on the hands. Then we also need to have different items, so we're going to create an items resource, which is a custom resource in Godot. Then we'll create an equip item function so that we can equip different items, and then we'll test all of that. So this is our goal. So for now, I'm just going to delete this, and we're going to create a new character. So I'm going to add a folder for character I, and in here, so I'm going to create a new user interface and say this is the character UI. I'm going to save this in character UI as this new scene. Now, we're going to make this kind of small, and we'll adjust this in a bit. But what we want here is we want the character name, and then the image stuff, and then the health. So we want a VBox control. So VBox container. And we will say this includes a label for the character name. So we'll say name. Just by default, we can just say Bob. Then in here, we want the image and then the left and right hands. So we want an HBox container. Then under this, we want texture rectangle. And for now, we'll just use the Godot image. And then under this, we want another VBox container for the left and right hands. Then we'll say texture rectangle. And we'll say this is the left hand. And then I'm going to duplicate that and make this instead the right. And we don't have textures for this yet, so let's go ahead and create those. So we'll go GIMP. And our Godot image is 128 by 128. So we're going to make a new 128 by 64 for our left hand and right hand. So I'm just going to go left, and then we'll export as go to our project. So left hand texture.png export. Then if I erase that, go 8. Right hand texture. Okay. So now in our character UI, we've got left and right hands. So in here, let's drag this into left. Here we'll drag this into the right. And then in our VBox container, we'll add one more label. Call this our HP label. Let's just say 10 out of 10. I'm going to make this center aligned. Okay. Now this, I'm going to just drag this in. Yep. There we go. So now if we load our game, then if I click on these, nothing is happening, but we can at least see it is there. So we need to add some scripts. So I'm going to add a script to this, and we can just go ahead and create this. We don't want this to be only for the left. We're going to make it just generic to both left and right hand. I'm going to take out all of this, and I'm going to have an enumeration to track left and right. So I'll say enum and type, go left, right, and then var and type and type. So in order to set this, I'll have the character UI set it. So I'll add a script to this as well. Let's see. And so we will need ready. We won't need anything else for now. We will need references to this one and this one. Also need that script on the right hand. So I'm going to say left texture rect dot hand type. I think we need this a class. Text texture class name. So then we'll go okay. Then we can go right texture type right. Okay, so now we have a way to say whether it's left or right. Then in our texture rect Godot script. So again, what we want is we want to be able to left click on left and left click on right, or to right click on left or right. Left click will be to assign or to remove items. Right clicking will be to use the items. So let's just detect that for now. So we're going to go func and we're going to go GUI input event, which is similar to our input event in the viewport. And this is input event. And we'll say if event is input event mouse button and event dot click. Then we can say if event dot go button index left. Oh, we don't say clicked, we say pressed. Then we can say if event dot button index equals mouse button left. We'll say if and type equals and type dot left. Then we're just going to print a statement to say this occurred. We'll say print left hand was left clicked. Say else print right hand was left clicked. Oops, this is wrong. I'm going to say mouse button left. Okay. right. Then we can copy all this. Go, yeah, we can leave it as left hand was right clicked. Right. Okay. Now if we run this, if we click on our left hand with the left mouse button, it says left hand was left clicked. If we left click on the right button, right hand was left clicked. If we right click, left hand was right clicked and right hand was right clicked. So that's what we want. So now we want to be able to assign an item by doing the left mouse button or remove an item. And we want to be able to use an item if we right click on it. So for now, let's create some items. So I'm going to create new folder, say items. And in here, I'm going to create a new script. And I'm just going to call this item data. And we're going to create a new custom resource. So let's create this, and instead of extends node, we're going to say resource, because our items are mostly just going to be data. So we're going to say class name item data. Then down here, I'm going to say we want an item type, which will be an enum, and then we'll also have a use type because we might have multiple different items per resource. So let's go enum item type, and let's say hand for our default. We'll have a sword, dagger, a potion, a rock, shield, and a bow. And then for our enums type, we'll say melee, consumable, throwable, passive like our shield, and launcher like our bow. And then we could add like a sling if we wanted to. Okay, so for the actual data we want, we'll say export bar item name, item type, which is item type, use type, so this is going to be the icon that we can replace either the cursor or the hand with. And then if we want to spawn an actual item in the 3D world, we can say export our world scene. This is a packed scene. And most of these items have to do with modifying health in some way, either by attacking or by restoring health. So we'll say export our health offset. Okay, so now we have our definition of a new custom resource. So we can create some items from this. So we'll go create new resource, item data, and we'll say left hand item. And then if we look over in our inspector, we can see that we have values for all of this. We'll just say left hand. And this is a type of hand. We can use it as a melee item. Our icon texture, we actually have that in character UI. I'm going to move these into items. And so we can go for our left hand, let's see, left hand item. Double click on it. Our icon texture, say left hand texture. We don't need a world scene, so we'll just leave that empty. And let's just say that we can do 5 damage with our left hand. So then let's do another one, our right hand. So resource item data, say right hand item. And this isn't exactly an item, but we kind of treat it that way. So we'll say right hand and melee icon texture. So right hand, 0 and 5. Okay. Then in our texture rect, so we're also going to have a var equipped item. This is item data. And by default, we'll just leave it empty, but let's add a func equip item. We'll say item data void. Say equipped item equals item. And then we also want to change the texture for this. So we have in this, say texture equals item dot texture icon texture. Is that right? Icon texture, yeah. So just to make sure that this is working, let's change this. Instead of being left and right, I'm going to open GIMP back up. by 64. And we're just going to make this a black rectangle. Say sport. Default item. So this is just to see that this is working. So our left hand, we're going to say this is that, and our right hand, we're going to do the same. So if we load our game now, we can see that we've got our left hand and right hand here, but it's a black box. So what we're going to do in our character UI GD, we're going to equip the hand item by default, just to see that this works. So our default item, well, we don't even need to do this. We can say left texture rect dot equip item. What we'll do is say load, and then we'll load our left hand item, and then right texture rect dot equip equip item load right hand item. Okay, so now when we run the game, once this is triggered, the black rectangle should be replaced with the left hand icon, and the right will be replaced with the right hand icon, which is exactly what we want. So that's working as expected, so everything is working. So we can do one more thing. We'll jump back into our texture rect script, and we can say func use item, and we can say item data, And what we'll do is we'll go match item data, but we'll go item dot item type, and we'll say item data dot item type dot let's see, no, we want type to say ele. Then we'll just do this for these. So instead of melee, do consumable. Passive and what was the other one? Launcher. Okay. So then we can just say down here print using item dot item name. So then if the right mouse button is pressed, just say use and equipped item. Okay, so now if we left click, left hand was left clicked. But then if we right click, using item left hand, using item right hand. So now what we can do is create a bunch of different items like our sword and our dagger and whatever else, and we'll be able to deliver damage with those. So that's all for now. We're going to get more into actually using items next time. I hope this is helpful, so thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.